Hello everyone, just bear with us for one more minute and we will start the meeting. We're testing the live on Facebook. Thank you for your patience. And then after a couple of seconds, we will be safe to go live. Yes, we are live and we can start.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I would like to greet our participants, invited speakers, and all people interested in civic education who are watching us via live stream. On behalf of Eastern European Network for Citizenship Education, EENCE, and its Coordination Council, I would like to thank you all for being here with us at the last event of EENCE Club. Citizenship, that is Citizenship Education for SDG number 16 and SDG number 17. Global partnership at the end is the engine of inclusive, peaceful, and sustainable societies. Spotlights from Ukraine, Armenia, Poland, and Germany. This event is special as it is organized in partnership with Goethe Institute Ukraine, which is an extremely valuable partner for EENCE as we both work on development of citizenship education in the Eastern Partnership region. As many of you might know, the mission of EENCE is to have a tangible contribution to the sustainable development of the civil society in the Eastern Partnership region and Russia, through widening the citizenship education sphere and developing the capacity of the institutions and experts in the field. So EENCE Club also contributes to this mission and specifically aims at promoting the democratic development and citizenship education through creation of space for public debates and experience sharing. I hope you have attended the other EENCE Club events and you have listened to great debates and shared experience of really great experts in civic education field. So EENCE Club is supported by the Federal Agency for Civic Education, Bundeszentrale für politische Bildung, using funds appropriated by the Federal Foreign Office, Germany. You might know that all EENCE Club topics are focused on UN Sustainable Development Goals, and as I already mentioned, our today's discussion unfolds around SDG goals 16 and 17. So the 16th goal is peace, justice, and strong institutions, and the 17th partnerships for the goals. The speakers are going to highlight the importance of international partnerships, why and how to build partnership in the civic education field. So we will hear practical examples and valuable resources on global partnership based on their experience, as well as share esteemed practical approaches on how to build and maintain an inclusive, peaceful, and sustainable society, with help of civic education, of course. So we hope that you will stay with us and have a really fruitful hour and a half. So now I would like to give a floor to Hanna Brennhäuser, head of the Eastern Partnership Program from Goethe Institute, Ukraine. So, dear Hanna, please.
Thank you, Christine, and also hello to everyone. I would very much like to welcome you in the name of Goethe Institute Ukraine today, and we are very happy to host this club together with EENCE today. So it's, as Christine said, it's a very special club because it's a collaboration between EENCE and Goethe Institute Ukraine. Maybe some quick words about Goethe Institute. So we are the Cultural Institute of Federal Republic of Germany, and we promote the knowledge of German language abroad and also foster international cultural cooperations. We provide information about contemporary social and political life in Germany, for example, in our libraries. And we are working in 98 countries, so you could say that our daily business is already building up like long-term and truthworthy international partnerships, because we also focus on cultural and educational programs and aim to encourage intercultural dialogue and enable cultural development. But nevertheless, when the pandemic hit us, when the pandemic came, it also hit us as much and as hard as every other institution. And of course, we also had to rethink, restructure all of our projects together with our international partners, because borders were closed and we suddenly could not meet all our partners, all our new contexts as we were used to do. And I'm very happy that together with EENCE and also our Ukrainian partners, Digitizing Space and UniverCity, we could very quickly, let's say, set up a huge online program named Civil Match. And this is where we actually started this cooperation with EENCE as well, supported by the Federal Foreign Office. And what was this Civil Match about? It was about international networking in an online format, and also about setting up international projects or develop international projects together. And we were very crazy because we were aiming to focus not only on 1 or 2 countries, but we were focusing on 10 countries, every country of the Eastern Partnership, as well as Russia, Germany, Poland, and France. And we were inviting civil society actors from the fields of culture, media, conflict resolution, and education. So it was a huge program, and it was crazy, but it was really, really helpful for all of us, because during the pandemic, we could still keep contact, we could still see each other online, we could talk about problems and subjects that were going on in our countries, and there were a lot, because there were a lot of conflicts going on during these 2 years, as you know. And I was always very all the meetings really inspired me so much because of the creativity and the enthusiasm of these civil society actors that were present, because they were so creative in developing new ideas and dealing with these crises. And so that today I'm really happy that we can hear practical examples from 4 speakers that will tell us about these I think they will also talk about Corona and their work in Corona times. So now I will leave the floor and give the word to our 4 very, very amazing speakers. And I wish you a very nice time, and thanks a lot to EENCE for making this happen and for inviting us to join the club.
Thank you very much, Hannah. Thank you very much, dear Hannah and Christina, for your warm welcome, as well as for the overview of the projects, fascinating projects that I think we'll have a chance to speak about today. Besides, I'm sure that we are going to also speak about the challenges that we faced over the 2 years regarding the pandemic, and not only. So thank you. Let's move on. My name is Anush, and I'm honored to moderate this session for you today. I'm a language and communications trainer based in Armenia, facilitator and member of the EENCE since 2015. So as you know, today is October the 16th, and this session of the EENCE Club, which is jointly organized by the EENCE and Goethe Institute Ukraine, focuses on citizenship education for SDG goals, for SDG 16 and 17. So you know that the title of the event is a global partnership as the engine of inclusive, peaceful, and sustainable societies. We'll have spotlights from Ukraine, Armenia, Poland, and Germany. So as you can guess, today we'll have a chance to engage with 4 speakers from Ukraine, Poland, Germany, and Armenia. Before introducing them and introducing their background separately, I'd like to just warmly welcome them. First of all, let's welcome our first speaker from Germany, Stefan Henkel. Hello, Stefan, and thank you for joining us today. The next speaker is Anna Galas-Kosel from Poland. Hello, dear Anna. Then we have Alona Karavai from Ukraine, and Datevi Hakopian from Armenia. Thank you, dear speakers, for bearing with us and for being willing to share your experience, your valuable approaches in the context of citizenship education and SDGs. It is hard, of course, to imagine sustainable development without peace, stability, human rights, and effective governance. And as today's world is more than interconnected, it's more interconnected than ever. The SDGs can only be realized with strong global partnerships and cooperation. That is why today our speakers will highlight the importance of international partnership in the field of citizenship education, as well as share practical examples and approaches on how to build and maintain inclusive, peaceful, and sustainable societies with the help of citizenship education. So without any further delay, let me introduce our first speaker. Our first speaker is Stefan Henkel from Germany. Stefan has been designing projects at the intersection of academia and civil society, first at Wissenschaftskolleg Greifswald and from 2015 on at the European University Viadrina, Frankfurt. So today, Stefan will be talking about two very interesting projects, Viadrinicum and the Advanced Training for Professionals Ukraine Colleague. He will also share his own experience of working with the SDGs and also explore on ways and elaborate approaches on how we can enhance cooperation between different sectors, private, public. So, dear Stefan, I'm handing over to you. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anush, for this kind introduction and also for the chance to speak here to the participants and of course to exchange also with the others from the panel. It's really an honor to be here, and yeah, I'm glad to share certain insights with you. Therefore, I will share my screen. Okay, as usual, it's not that easy as you think. Give me just another second. Zoom is not offering me. Now it comes. Here we go. So can you see it? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking like to speak about civic education and partnerships in the context of the university. And you see the university here, it's not in typo, it's on purpose, because there's a huge question actually in adoption with the SDGs in 2015. Which also questions the relationship between civil society and academia as a whole, because I'm absolutely convinced that global challenges can only be solved if they are dealt with transnationally and by various social actors actually, and therefore that form a more holistic formal and non-formal processes in education for sustainable development. Higher education institutions, as co-creators of societal transformation processes, play a central role in promoting critical and innovative thinking, and thus transnational exchange. So far, this so-called third mission of higher educational institutions is rather connected actually to businesses and to the economy. And with the projects we are doing, we try to change that and take more into account civil society aspects, actually, what universities can offer for civil society actors. So we are looking for a practice-oriented discussion from the side of the university in relation to civil society for sustainable implementation of structures of exchange and the establishment of innovative cooperation formats between universities, CSOs, and of course also citizens, with the aim of achieving the global sustainable goals 2030. And the discussion about this really has to take place only. Yeah, universities, and maybe my position here on this panel is a quite specific one, because the self-positioning of universities in our society, taking actually also certain responsibilities beyond the first two missions you're quite familiar with, I suppose, like first mission, research, second mission, teaching. The third mission is becoming more and more important. And the discussion about how this is related to the SDGs, something actually that has to be discussed. Because we do have in the university structures often already some kind of so-called Transferstellen in Germany, so special structures for knowledge transfer to the society, but this is meaning generally be it questions of service learning, for example, or the question of certain technological transfer to the economy is more and more actually limited to this rather classical understanding of knowledge transfer that is only coming from the university to the society, and there only a certain part of the society, but not addressing the society as a whole and not working with civil society actors in a broader sense. Yeah, these are the three missions I mentioned: research, teaching, and public engagement. And I would like to discuss certain aspects of the public engagement question and try to relate it also to civic education. There are certain aspects which we know already, but which are in the context of the university and its general role not discussed so often. Yeah, you are all familiar with the term of lifelong learning, of course, but when it comes to community-based research, for example, there is a lot to be done. Yeah, it's the question how to construct research processes that are more inclusive, that are open for citizens, that are taking into account actually the questions of the citizens, are really to be developed still. Yeah, it's often seen as some kind of curiosum that researchers would involve also representatives from the non-academic world. And there is a huge challenge actually in bringing these formats forward. Another aspect is science diplomacy, which is becoming more and more important as well. For example, the German Federal Office has a new strategy paper published in November last year about the importance of science diplomacy also for the foreign relations of Germany. And this also is, of course, somehow repositioning the role of universities, because they might become also actors of foreign policy on the one hand, but on the other side, also questions that are crucial for universities as having the possibility for transnational exchanges of students, of scholars, and the freedom of science are also to be seen in a political context, meaning that the diplomacy has to build certain frameworks, and also universities can expect this, that this kind of transnational cooperation is working. So I was opening up a certain field where the question of the university and the society are discussed at the moment. How we are working at European University Viadrina in Frankfurt Oder on the topic. As I said, we do not have specialists on SDGs. Yeah, so there are diversity, for example, offices. There are these kind of transfer of knowledge offices in the universities already, but the structures to establish some concrete place in the university that is in charge of SDGs is something to be seen in the future. And hopefully this thinking of how to reach sustainable development goals will be also included in the way universities are structured. there are two projects I want to present to you. One is the already mentioned Ukraine Calling. It has supported by now 90 organizations, mainly from Germany and Ukraine, but also from Belarus, Poland, and France, in order to establish project-based cooperations between civil society actors, but not only. The idea is to have a cross-sectoral approach that institutions would not work only with representatives or other institutions from the same field, but also would work with city administrations, for example, or that different fields would work together, that schools are working with libraries, or theaters are working with human rights activists, for example, in a transnational framework. That this kind of approach is really needed, and there's a huge demand for that. We can show by the way how many applications actually we do have every year. So in the last year, it was nearly 200 organizations that were applying for this training. And I think what makes it special is that it tries to bring together the perspectives of academia and the civil society and bring these different approaches to solving problems together to one table and to discuss bigger frameworks as migration in the last year, in this year, local development, and in the next year, hopefully directly the question of education for sustainable development and digitalization that brings these different perspectives together. Yeah, so we have a diverse group of learners that are undergoing a common learning process. They can co-shape themselves. So this nice word of demand orientation, we try really to implement by asking the needs of the organizations who are taking part in the capacity building. And because we have the luxury to have it separated by different phases, we actually can collect these kind of demands and apply to the next planning for the same target audience that will then get the inputs they were asking for. And that is making it really productive at this co-shaping of the program itself. Of course, it comes also with certain special challenges because often you cannot react upon every need. Yeah, if the needs are too diverse, but what you can do is provide spaces of exchange that needs are discussed and various perspectives actually come to a room and come to a table, and also conflictual topics find their room. For example, also, of course, if there are Polish and Ukrainian organizations involved that are speaking about memory politics, for example, where there's on a political level a lot of pressure sometimes that, of course, on the civil society level is not needed, and that Ukraine Calling can also serve as a platform for discussing certain problems is quite good also in this in the framework of SDG 16 and 17, of course, if then organizations who might look at each other with a certain reluctance in the beginning can work something out together in the end. So the participants, actually, the organizations who are applying in the beginning, they are having several trainings, inputs from civil society actors, but also, of course, from academia, and then are prepared with skills trainings and a certain network to implement their project ideas themselves within cooperation with other international organizations. they often find actually during Ukraine calling. And also, thanks to Civil Match, there actually were some organizations were meeting also and finding partners there, and were applying yesterday, I think, for the next round of the funding of the German Federal Office. So there's a concrete case actually where this was working quite nicely. What we are doing, we are not working only with these 15 organizations each year that we are supporting, but we are also offering public events. For example, approximately 2 weeks ago, a masterclass on post-digital activist engagement in online communities, where Kvity Ukrainy, Flowers of Ukraine, project that is trying to save architecture from modernist architecture in Kiev, was presenting their case, how they are engaging actually citizens for standing up for more democratic city planning and saving direct housing. Then a Czarny protest, a black protest from Poland was on board, showing the case how they are using visuals actually to create a certain identity of a protest. And the initiative from Berlin on social housing was on board, that was collecting more than 1 million certified signatures in Berlin during Corona times in order to question the role of real estate companies in housing in Berlin. Yeah. So this is also this case also shows quite well how we are trying to connect different topics and different countries and try to translate local aspects to a broader framework, and always asking okay, how local concrete cases actually can be translated into a more transnational context. And actually, because we think also our global challenges have to be implemented in the end on the local ground. Of course, learning from the local aspects always helps also in the global perspective. Yeah, so this is a dialectical thinking here, that actually it's both sides can support each other a lot. The other project we are working on is a transsectoral summer school called Viadrinicum, where we each year are inviting 30 participants, students, young scholars, but also artists and civil society activists to work on a topic that is changing every year. So here you can see 2021, this year it was Transsectoral Digital Lab, the disassembling of the post-digital social. Asking questions how actually digital tools and questions of digitalization are working on individuals, but also on the society level, changing, adjusting our everyday social. And there also this idea of bringing a diverse group of learners together and give them space to learn from each other is super fruitful. Because on the one hand, students often do not have the chance to exchange, or also young scholars do not have the chance to exchange with practitioners on the longer term. And also practitioners are often, although they have, of course, often an academic background, they are not tied to concrete academic institutions or also debates. And to lower down this limit or border is one of the main actually motivations for us to bring again different perspective, different ways of knowledge together, and also reducing hierarchies of knowledge production that are unfortunately very present in the relationship between academic and non-academic knowledge production. Yes. So what is also important, we are always including local actors in that and are leaving the university space. Here you can see some photos from our final exhibition of the results of the summer school. So the participants are working on projects all 2 weeks long. So on the one hand, you have this kind of inputs from academia, but also from practitioners, and then also concrete workshop, skills training. But at the same time, during the 2 weeks, the participants are working on short documentaries, artistic research approaches, and it's all then presented in the end in a public event for the local public. So it's happening actually outside the university, at the Museum for Contemporary Art in Frankfurt Oder, and the city public is invited also to come. And this is also really nice because they have the chance actually to see how people are perceiving Frankfurt Oder, the localities, and bringing more transnational questions actually to the local context. Yeah. So again, the question of interconnection of the local and transnational. Of course, I could say a little bit more about these partnerships that are stemming from that, especially in times of COVID. Maybe just 2 words because my time is running out. So it happened actually that we are working now, having really close partnerships with people we haven't met in person ever. And this is also something special, and it's the question actually how to build trust also in COVID times. And what our takeaway is actually the first step is the readiness to learn from each other, to understand the logics and the structures of the possible partners, and also the political frameworks that they are working in, and really take a lot of time to get this bigger picture, not only the cultural aspects, which are, in my experience, are not playing that a big role, but rather this structural bindings. People find themselves in their institutions and in the funding logics, and of course then also on the administrative side, handling transnational projects. This kind of readiness to learn is connected to, of course, to a certain positioning, self-positioning of empathy, and in the end leads to a deeper trust that is also possible if you have not met a person before. And we now have 2 years of really good partnership relations with organizations that are really close to us now, but we have never seen in person. So that would be only maybe a final short word, not to lose hope that although Corona has struck transnational corporations a lot, there is space for hope that we can actually work together in a really productive way, also under these conditions. And maybe with one concluding question, I would leave it here. Maybe we can take it to the discussion afterwards, but what would interest me a lot is how to imagine transnational cross-sector learning processes in general, as an aspect of civic education as well, that is including not only like formal learning processes, but also non-formal learning processes, and what could be the intersections in that facing our global challenges we are facing together. So thank you very much. I will leave it here, and I'm looking forward to the further discussion.
Dear Stefan, thank you very much for your valuable insights, and thank you for your concluding question. I think it was really very important question for us to deal with afterwards. I think we'll come back to it and we'll have a fruitful discussion based on that. I would also like to thank you for speaking about those 3 missions. I think it's really very important, especially emphasizing the 3rd mission, public engagement. And what I pretty much appreciate here is also the idea of science diplomacy. I think this concept can be developed and can be further discussed, and it's something valuable to explore. Thank you very much. We have questions from the audience, and actually I also have questions, but I think we can come back to, we will collect all the questions and come back to those at the end of at the end of the session, so that all the speakers have a chance to somehow reflect on those. So thank you once again. And by the way, I want to encourage our audience to ask questions. We see the questions, we collect all of them, and I'm so happy to see that we have so many diverse people. We have people from Tunisia, Ukraine, Armenia, Georgia, different countries. So it's really important that we connect people from diverse backgrounds. Thank you very much, Stefan, once again. It was our pleasure to follow you. Now let's move on to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Anna Galas-Kosel from Poland. Anna is the curator at the Biennale Warszawa. She's a graduate of the Department of Theater Studies at the Alexander Zelwerowicz National Academy of Dramatic Art in Warsaw, and graduate of the prestigious Program for Culture Managers, a European Diploma in Cultural Project Management. Until the end of 2017, she managed the Department of International Cooperation in the Zbigniew Rajewski Theater Institute in Warsaw. In 2015, from 2015 to 2020, she was president of the International On the Move Network, involved in the issue of mobility in the cultural sector. Recently, she has curated a project which is called Edible City Warsaw, about alternative for today's dominant model of industrial agriculture. Dear Anna, I can't wait, and I think our audience too, we can't wait to listen to more ideas about the Biennale Warszawa and especially Edible City. This idea seems to be quite fascinating. The floor is yours, dear Anna. Please, you can start. Anna?
Okay, I'm here. Sorry, yeah. Can you hear me and see me?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see you.
Of course, in a crucial moment.
No worries. The floor is yours, dear Anna.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, so I will start with sharing my my presentation. Can you see it?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Okay, super. Okay, so sorry for this technical problems. Thank you very much, Stefan, also for your presentation, which I see like really relevant starting point also for those words that I would like to share with you. I'm representing a public institution, Biennale Warszawa, Warsaw Biennale, and it's an institute. I will start a little bit talking about like before pandemia situation, but in terms of partnership, which is one of the key topic of our meeting today. This institution that I work for during last 5 years, it's actually partnership. It's a main aim for all our activities. So I would like to, that's why I would like to share with you also the context of our work and who we are, because we are quite unique institution in Polish context. It was established at the beginning of November 2017, and it's an institution that it's founded by the City Council of Warsaw. In a very specific situation. It used to be a small theater without its venue, and the city decided to transform it into a interdisciplinary institution. And they prepared and announced a competition for the concept and program of this new institution. And the announcement was already really unique in this Polish context. It was very progressive. It's important to mention here that the local government that it's running the City Council of Warsaw, it's a political party or their representatives that are in the opposition to the national government, so to the government that we have since some years, and it's running by Law and Justice, so a right-wing populist. And that's why it's unique, because the city of Warsaw decided to create an institution that's going to be a kind of counterbalance for this national and very right-wing politics. I will just quote few lines from this announcement because it will already show you in which direction it was planned. The idea of the biennial and of the institution, because one of the aims is also that we organize every 2 years a bigger event. I will explain you a little bit later what kind of concept stands behind it in our case. So it's based on the assumption that culture and art play a key role in building a modern, tolerant, critical society, acting in respect of democracy and civil liberties, multiplicity of views, religion, sexual orientation, and origin. Continuous activities will be aimed at supporting the cultural activity of residents of Warsaw and will focus on seeking new audiences and encouraging participation in particular disadvantaged groups from economic, social, national, or political reason. So I think that this is already a thing that can give you a kind of overview about our activities. And this decision of the city of Warsaw was actually considered as a strong political gesture against the politics of identity and the rise of identitarian and national discourse growing in Poland. Our idea was actually to create a kind of interdisciplinary hub. And our curatorial team is formed from people from really various fields and disciplines of humanities. And we operating basically, or we create our program thinking about these two fields that you can see. So we operate in art and culture, research and discourse, and activism. And all our projects, we are pretending and we are trying that they all have these three aspects in it. It is also very important that we are trying to convince and we are trying to include also different activist groups into our program and build with them a kind of partnership. And of course, at the beginning, it was not so easy. And when I was hearing Stefan talking about the trust in partnership, so this is really like one of the words that it's like really every time like behind me or with me thinking about different projects, because working with activist groups, the trust is one of the key issues that we have to build and we have to think about. And actually, none of these projects that we are working on will not happen without this partnership with academics, with different university bodies, but also with research organizations, NGOs. This intersection of discipline are some, we can say that it's a kind of special, our special interest, and we were building it through different projects. I will later on tell you just about few of them to give you a kind of impression about our work. But we explicitly conduct also political activities, cooperating with progressive institutions. We have like very open political agenda, association, social initiatives, which is also very important that we work with trade unions, with squads, with tenants, and as I mentioned, activists. On the other hand, we act critically, presenting, mapping, and discussing, and actually acting the most problematic contemporary political, social, and economic phenomena. And in many of our projects, we are also talking about phenomena or problems of today's world, like migration. Some of them were linked also to very specific local political situation, like education reform in 2017, or one of them that I will show you right now, which was like the downtown Center for Inclusive Art that we were collaborating with an organization, an NGO called Theater 21. It's a theater for professional actors with Down syndrome. They already exist for around 15 years. But what is interesting is that since 2020, finally, the city of Warsaw decided to create and co-finance an institution for them. And in 2018, in frame of the project, we decided with them to co-create a performance. It was one of the projects actually, or one of the activities in frame of the projects that we were doing. And this performance was actually very much based on material statements and archives from the protest of people with disabilities and their parents that took place in the Polish Parliament in April and May 2018. And here you can see the photo from the real protest that was happening in the Polish Parliament, and actually the ruling party was trying to throw out of these people actually really violently from the Polish Parliament. And in frame of the performance, the actors with Down syndrome and actors collaborating with the Biennale, they were talking about the rights for the disabled people and their families. So you can see like one of the quotes that people with disabilities have the right to live in dignity. It was one of the of their main sentences, let's say. So I will back a little bit to the first project that was actually opening the existence of the Biennale, but it was already a project that was trying to link and build partnerships between activists and academics and different organizations. And it was based on rethinking the idea of autonomy and self-organization, counter projects to all hegemonic structures. And it was about direct democracy and grassroots initiatives. And it was linked also with a performance Solidarity New Project. So the idea was to take the first Solidarity trade union from 1981 that was at that time proclaiming a declaration of self-governed republic. And the performance was based on the archival material transcripts from the Congress, and was talking about the basis and the rules of the direct democracy. And afterwards, we created a discursive program, Solidarity to Zero, or Democracy as a Form of Life. It was run by a Polish researcher and academic, Professor Jan Sowa. and he curated the cycle. It was a kind of, let's say that the discursive programs are also one of our main formats, I would say, and we were also like using it a lot during the pandemia because it worked very well as an online versions. This project specifically was built as a kind of lectures. Every second week, Jan Sowa was preparing a lecture, and every second week he was inviting one of the representatives of a real grassroots and democratic initiatives. And some of them were from Poland, but many of them were representing the international context and were a kind of inspiration for the Polish activists, let's say. So among them, we invited Dilar Dirik from the Democratic Federation of Rożawa, or George Blokus from the School of Political Hope in Cologne. And the result of this whole project was organized in 2019 during the Biennale, the festival, let's say, or the bigger event that is summarizing every time the cycle, nearly 2 years cycle of our constant program. An event or an activity that was called Polish Social Forum, and it gathered about 50 activities and representatives of different groups and organizations from Poland, and some international guests also participated. But the main idea was to build partnership also between Polish activist groups and Polish independent organizations, because often they are acting very locally in their own fields, and sometimes even they do not see that they can build an umbrella partnership for their activities. And then I will skip to a kind of program line that I would like to share with you, because I thought that in frame of many of the projects that we are doing, it will show you very well a kind of few years line that we were trying to develop. And basically it was related to projects that gonna talk about climate change, but also a sustainable food system that could be a counterbalance for the dominant agriculture. And the first, it started in 2019 from the event called Convention of Women Farmers. And it had a form of assembly, bringing together women farmers. And it was also talking about the presence and importance of women in international agriculture and in this system of, for example, sharing seeds or being persons that are collecting the old seeds and they are sharing between them. And to this event came women farmers from Syria, Lebanon, Mexico, India, Poland, Denmark, and Greece. Here you can see the seeds that they were able to share, and some photos from the event. We had also guests from Colombia that they were talking about their problems with growing industry in their region that is actually taking over the lands that they were traditionally taking care of. And they were sharing also agricultural tools and methodologies in particular. So it was again the kind of sharing knowledge process. And this event was a starting point for a closer collaboration with a foundation called AgroPermaLab. And we did together this year during the pandemia an international forum of permaculture educators, and it was an event online. It was a kind of assembly, maybe two days event, open assembly that linked and built partnership between Polish permaculture educators, together with an impact of international guests from United Kingdom, Australia, and Spain, that they were sharing their practices. It had also a closed working session, and it was a part of our, let's say, longer and more important topic about the politics of nutrition, and a document that the city of Warsaw is preparing recently about new food policy. And in frame of this project, we also built a web doc, a documentary web, Edible City Warsaw. And this project was giving voice to 5 initiatives that could give a new direction to the municipal food policy. And it would not exist without this permaculture idea of community of people that is standing behind this all initiatives. And it was a result again of a few months research on different alternatives that operates locally but can be a counterbalance for dominant global food system. And this often these initiatives are also inspired by collaboration with other international partners. So I will show you this 5, just saying few words. This is the Marianka Ecological Farm based on the community supported agriculture, a community garden in Warsaw called Motyka I Słońce, food cooperative that has got also shops that are open in Warsaw, not only for the people that are taking part or are a part of the cooperative, but they are also open for every Warsaw citizen. Family garden allotments, and a small restaurant on the suburbs of Warsaw that is building a special community of people and delivers around it. So basically, this project was really based on the trust, because none of them is the actor of the culture field. They are all like more interested in social collaboration and building these communities around them, and citizens' education in terms of sustainable development and climate change, and also the new ways of thinking about the nutrition system, or maybe not new, the old one that actually we should have to back to. And the pandemic was also the important context, because we had a special research. We were working with one research center, and they did a sociological analysis during the pandemic, that actually people are more open to change their behaviors according to the nutrition system. And just closing my presentation, a few words about another project that was actually a kind of collaboration with this AgroPermaLab Foundation as well, but this one was like a counterbalance for the documentary web. It's called Supermarket Museum, and it was about providing a critical look on the supermarket culture. So this is basically the idea of the projects that we are on the daily basis developing in frame of Biennale. And as you could see, actually, it's difficult to say that we are a culture or an art institution. We are more cross-sectorial and in this interdisciplinary one, and we are trying to really build these very wild partnerships, as we think that this is the only way to really introduce to the society more crucial and important problems in terms of politics, social issues and economical issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you very much. A lot of we have comments that your projects are really inspirational, and I do agree. I got inspired, yes, I think your projects can be best practice and can motivate a lot of people to try.
Anush, it seems we can't hear you well. Would you mind repeating again? I think it is some technical, again, connection issues.
I think this will help us once again revisit our ideas of nutrition, yeah, and food policy in general, and see how this globally affects the sustainable societies. Anna, thank you once again for inspiring us. I think we'll address the questions again at the end, but we see the comments that your projects were really very interesting, fascinating, and the people appreciate that very much. So let's move on to our next speaker. I'm excited to introduce Alona Karavai from Ukraine. Alona is the co-founder of Insha Osvita, co-founder and managing partner of the agency Protoproduktia, co-developer of Horizontal School in Mid-Ost, co-founder of social enterprises Chata Maisterna, social investor at Urban Space 500, co-founder of gallery and project space Assortimenta Gimnata, co-founder of Porto Franco Festival. I can just say, wow, Alona, it's really inspiring how you have initiated so many different projects, so many initiatives, and I think that we will benefit a lot from your input. I would like to hand over to you, please, dear Alona. We are all ears.
Thank you. Thank you a lot, Anush, for the presentation. I would like starting with thank you all, our dear participants who joined the EENCE Club on Saturday on this very important topic. I would like to thank Stefan and Anna for their very inspiring presentations, because I was also impressed, Anna, about your work and how you give a stronger voice for cultural actors in this complex political background, which is now, right now, your experiences. I was also it resonated a lot when I heard Stefan talking about knowledge production, and that it could be done also from different actors, because this is something what we are experiencing working on this part of empirical learning and not of theoretical learning. So thank you. And I would just go further, and probably now it's a high time to try to go a little bit more on meta level, because now you, I hope, could get to know some examples. I would try to do probably something more in the direction of inspirational speech, or of a speech collecting different recommendations. So basically, what I would like to talk about in the next 20 minutes, I will start also the clock here, to talk about partnerships. Why would we need partnerships? To talk about what is important in international partnerships from my experience, and where we can search for partners, also sharing probably some new ideas for you coming from my experience. And I would like to start the speech also telling that I have experienced different partnerships in my life. These were local partnerships and international ones. These were partnerships coming from one sector and intersectoral ones. I have experienced partnerships which were lasting for 10 years and more, and which are lasting till now. I have experienced unbalanced partnerships where our organization had to struggle a lot for this partnership, but during the whole time we had the feeling we are not doing enough, or we are not good enough for this partnership. I have experienced also transformational partnerships when our organization has changed a lot due to this partnership and has learned a lot in the partnership. And that's why, like, speaking about partnership, I would always say that it's important to start with why, and ask why you need a partnership right now. And if you need a partnership or something else, because a partnership, especially an international one, especially an intersectoral one, it's something which needs a lot of resources, which needs a lot of time, which needs a lot of effort, and which can be successful, not successful, which can be also very transformational for you. So that's why I would tell, like, working on partnerships, especially on international level, and trying to do partnerships long-lasting and sustainable, we just have to see whether we need a partnership right now or we need something else, which is also okay. Because very often when we strive to a partnership, probably we would need a service provider or a host or somebody who would share with us information, and not a partner. And then it's very good to be honest with yourself and with another organization, and not to come into some partnership relation when you do not expect the organization to be a partner. It's also like in partnerships, it's also very important to be aware of instrumentalization, and like not to instrumentalize other partners with whom you're working for your goals they do not know, and also like not to try not to come into partnerships which are unbalanced, and when you can be instrumentalized for some different goals which you do not know. Of course, for example, of course, we all NGOs like partnerships with businesses, and we in Ukraine also try to do these partnerships, but experience that I have made that sometimes till now we NGO are unfortunately instrumentalized by business for whitewashing their reputation, for trying to look nice also in the society, and actually sometimes they do not really need our partnerships, but they need our reputation. So I would not like to be mean here, but I would like just to share with you that you have to be beware when you start the partnerships, and just to check it a little bit, give it one more try and see if it's a real partnership, a real 1I level partnership. And also coming into partnership, it's important to be ready for it. As I said, to have time for it, to have resources for it, to be able to learn in the partnership and to change, probably to adapt a little bit how you communicate with people and so on. And it's also important to be mature for a partnership, because partnership needs a change, and sometimes we're not ready for change, which is also okay. And here on this, like speaking about this maturity for a partnership, I would like to share with you a model which you have probably already seen. It's a model from organizational development, which is talking about different phases of organizational development, how organizations, through which stations do the organization come through when they are growing. I would shortly show you also who developed this model, and then we will come back to it again. It has been developed by Bernard Liebegold, probably like pretty long ago, and then Friedrich Glasgow has worked on it and actually added this stage number 4 to this theory. Probably you have heard about Glasgow in terms of the stages of conflict development. This is the same person, and he has been working on this model as well. And what this model is telling us, that each organization is probably coming through pioneering phase, through the first phase of funding of organization, would have rational phase and integrated phase. And then phase number 4 would be associative phase, when the organization is ready for some deep go in coalitions, for some really strong partnerships when you can share with partners a lot of your resources, not being afraid to be merged by a partner. Yeah, of course, we as organizations, we also partner on earlier levels of the development of organizations, but like on these earlier levels, we would probably have a lot of tasks to do inside of our organizations for our internal structures. We would be pretty busy with ourselves, which is also okay according to the structure. And only on some moment, we would be also strong enough internally in organization in order to be able to go into sustainable and one eye level partnerships. It's only one perspective, which does not mean you or somebody don't have to try partnerships before some time. It's just a perspective also for us to understand that on some moment our organization would not be ready for a partnership, and it's also okay. We just have to do the partnerships, especially international ones, especially value-based ones, in the right time frame for us. There are some models which say that it takes up to 7 years for an organization to come to integrated phase. But it's also like only numbers, yeah, only an inspiration for you to think about that, yeah, and to think when you start the partnership, to think about the why. Why do you need a partnership? Probably you need some other form of collaboration, to check whether you want the same with your partner, and whether like nobody will be instrumentalized in this partnership, and also to check whether you are ready in the organization, whether you have enough resources to start this partnership and also to change in this partnership. Yeah, and coming from why, I would like to come to how. The next question will be where. Like in how to find partners. Of course, you need like just to meet a lot of people. It's also like in life, in other questions, you need to meet people in order to find the right ones. Sometimes also as in other life, you are like more likely to meet the right person or the right organization right in the beginning. Sometimes you have to make several tries. It's life, and then you just do it. Hannah Brennhäuser, on the beginning of this event, she mentioned Civil Match, our common project we were also collaborating in. And it was an example for an online platform where we tried to give a chance to NGOs to meet as many NGOs as they could. It was also our try to work with this how just to give a platform for this meeting, and then the possibility to select the right partner. The other how would be, don't be too fast and trying not to start the big partnership right away. Probably if you would find an organization which is suiting to you and which looks nice, which looks like it's sharing your values and it's speaking about the same, probably it makes sense to try to start with a small pilot, to start with a smaller event together or with a smaller thing together, and to check in practice whether you are really speaking about same things. In my experience, I had cases where we had partnerships where we had the feeling we use the same language, we use the same words, we have the same values, and then we started a bigger project together with a partner. And only while doing this project, we understood that we mean under these words different things. And it was once more not that somebody was trying to be mean to somebody. It just happening that people are meaning different things, and some things you can only experience when you start to collaborate with people, if it's working or not working together. So like, even if you met the right partner, I would recommend to start with a small pilot, with a small tryout, and if it's working out, you can go for a bigger projects together. And speaking about the question of where, you have heard already some examples here, like Civil Match, Ukraine Calling, some other projects which will hopefully also go further in the next year. My personal experience shows that I have found many partners, many partner organizations, especially many international partners with whom we are working till now in alumni networks. Alumni networks, it means that you participated in one of the program, in one of the international program, and very often this program would have a network of alumni, sorry, it's my timer, but I will be ready soon. And very often this organization would have a network of other alumni of this program. And my experience has shown, I don't know if your experience is the same, that I could find really many like-minded people there, just being in the same organization. For example, there is a Bosch alumni network. If you are an alumni of any of the program where Robert Bosch Foundation from Germany has been involved to, you can be the member of this network, participate on many online activities. There are also, for example, clusters for citizenship education there. There are clusters for cultural project there. There are some possibilities to meet right now, mostly online. There are also some small funding for projects funding, but most importantly, there are a lot of people from all over the world, not only Europe, where you can just find people for your projects, yeah? Or you can ask for recommendation. This is, for example, in my personal experience, it worked few times when I was looking for new organizations. For example, also, if you are an alumni of any program funded by American government, for example, Open World or IREX or whatever, in many countries, there are American councils who are working with alumni of these organizations. And in that networks, you can find other alumni, you can find alumni from other countries, and you can also get support for small alumni projects, which are a nice possibility to make this test together. What I was speaking about, like if you found a partner and you would like to make a small pilot together, this could be a perfect possibility for that. Or, for example, also if you are an alumni of DAAD, of Deutsche Akademischer Austauschdienst, if you were studying in Germany, being a student fellow in Germany, there is also a network of such people as you coming from different countries. And there is also a possibility to find other people there and also to make projects with them. So probably it's also, I hope, could be also an idea for some of you how to find partners and where to find them. The last but not least, an example that I wanted to tell you about and has almost forgotten is alumni networks of big international organizations like ISEC alumni, of the organizations which are functioning in many countries, where you can also find alumni of this organization and start new projects with them. So these were 4 examples of alumni organizations, of alumni networks. I hope you could find something for you and give over the word further to the next speaker and to Anush.
Thank you very much, Alona, especially for elaborating on this meta level, as you said. Yeah, I would like to say that here for your speech, there is a very nice quote. We say, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. It seems that all of your comments were simple, but at the same time, so deep, so meaningful. Everybody, every organization, every now needs to stop and reflect why, how, were, yeah, the questions that you answered. And also and we are so grateful that you also gave your valuable experience and your own solutions, your real life cases. Thank you very much, dear Alona, once again. Okay, dear audience, let's move on to our next speaker. I hope that you are enjoying all of the sessions just as much as we are doing here. And so our last speaker today is Datevi Hakopian. Datevi Hakopian is from Armenia. She is the co-founder and coordination council member of the Eastern European Network for Citizenship Education, which aims at promoting exchange and development of knowledge, skills, and values on citizenship education in the region of Eastern Partnership. Tatevik loves helping people. Yes, it's true. She's highly motivated in teaching and training, has expertise in education and pedagogy, and a profound background of working in non-formal and formal fields. She is the executive director of Women's Republican Council NGO in Armenia. Today, Datevik will talk about the network, Eastern European Network for Citizenship Education, how networking contributes to education, and how education in its turn contributes to sustainable, inclusive, and peaceful societies. Dear Datevik, I'm handing over to you. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Janusz. Thank you for a nice introduction. Thank you, everyone in the room. We're happy to see you with us today, as well as I would like to thank my peers, speakers who did a very nice, enlightening and entertaining presentations with so much inspirational projects and experience that I believe after this meeting, we will take it together with us and think about that and try to also become people like you. Thank you so much. Today, I'm happy to share with you a couple of thoughts around the SDG goal number 16 about the education, about how with the help of the education to build the peace, build the justice, build a sustainable society, make sure that we become change makers and inspirational people for the society and community, and not only for the international community as well ourselves. Let me share my screen and start talking about my topic quickly. So as Anush mentioned, I'm a part of the EENCE since 2015, and within our network, we are trying to strengthen the capacity of organizations and experts from 7 countries of the Eastern European Partnership, and we're happy to have really great and close collaboration and partnership with Goethe Institute Ukraine, and you guys are doing a great job, as I have mentioned many times, and I really like the way of networking that we have created together as a great example of partnership. So actually, I would like to highlight this goal because I believe that just as a human being, it is quite interesting for me. I'm a mom of 2 kids, and I believe that education plays a huge role in my life, in the life of my kids, in the life of our surrounding. So I'm trying to educate them as true citizens who are striving for peace, justice, and they are having this moral and ethical values in themselves. So I would like to just share with you a thought of how we can achieve the SDG goal number 16, which is calls for peaceful and inclusive societies based on respect for human rights, protection of the most vulnerable, the rule of law, and good governance at all levels. Also envisions transparent, effective, and accountable institutions. Strengthen the relevant national institutions. This is how we should act if we would like to achieve this goal, and to include through international cooperation for building capacity at all levels, in particular in developing countries, which are a part of our network as well. We are still called developing countries in the region. We should prevent violence and combat terrorism and crime and any type of wars and conflicts, because we would like to promote and enforce non-discriminatory laws and policies for sustainable development. So this is the global introduction of this, and I would like to highlight a couple of important facts for this goal, because I believe that everyone develops themselves and everyone can become a change maker. Everyone can be a carrier of the true human rights and humanism. As my experience shows, I am keen to believe that if we build a culture of peace, then our coexistence with others and also our coexistence and action will bring to the justice, which in its turn will also eliminate any violence, any conflicts, anything that is just not allowing us to become the full citizens of our country, of our communities, and this will also bring to the understanding of global problems. So in my speech, I will also concentrate on education, because I believe that via the help of education, which I call also a tool set, we can achieve these goals of peace, justice, and sustainable institutions. Why? Because education helps us to bring respect, first of all, to each other, for human rights, the universal human rights. And I love this quote from an International Journal of Peace, Education, and Development, which says that both the content and the process of education should promote peace, social justice, respect for human rights, and acceptance of responsibility. And I would like to highlight here the children again, because I believe that the institutions, first of all, the schools are responsible, the formal education institutions, I apologize, are the ones who give these skills to children to become indeed citizens who understand their rights, and they appreciate the international standards of equity, they appreciate the international cultural diversity, they respect each other, they respect our globe, our earth, their surroundings, and etc. So children need to learn skills of negotiation, problem solving, critical thinking, and communication that will enable them to resolve conflicts without restoring to violence. So with this, with this, I would like to say the following, that everyone in this room and everyone who is engaged in any type of formal education or non-formal education activities is someone who can use education as a tool set. So it will have the transformative potential in conflict-affected environments if we educate everyone based on the humanistic values. Our lives are usually affected by certain disturbances which are created around us due to some misunderstandings, due to some political situations, due to some ignorance from the part of other human beings. It is possible that due to some international political situations, we can struggle in conflicts, we can struggle in war, we can struggle in crime, etc. But again, we believe that the culture of peace, which is built through education, is something that can transform our life potentially. We should use education as a creative way to build the public dialogue in different sectors of society. This is something hard to achieve, but with the help of special projects within the schools, special programs and subjects, it is possible. And this one is possible also in democratic countries. Unfortunately, nowadays we see in social media, in YouTube, in different type of channels that sometimes this concept of peace building and the concept of education as a tool is used wrongly. Some schools in some countries are vice versa using it in the sake of educating kids with crime type mindset, like to kill others or to do some terroristic attacks or etc., etc. But let's just stay positive and make sure that we, each of us, is becoming a change maker and influences people around and empowers especially young people to become innovative, to have creative approaches, to at least get the skills and mindset of resolving conflicts in their societies. So I think that resolving this type of injustice and violence around the world is something that has been inherited from our great philosophers, let's say, and some of them have said, let me read you a quote, that you are personally responsible for becoming more ethical than the society you grew up in. So this is an everyday job, and we should pay attention to that as well. And if you want peace, work for justice. So I believe that with the help of education, we can also form an attitude about meaning of peace in human life. And of course, with the help of that attitude, we can prevent the emergence of conflicts and create conditions for peace in the world. At the same time, we should promote humanistic values such as respect for human rights, freedom, and secure coexistence. Education is the powerful weapon, and that is true. And recently, we did have lots of projects related to that. During these 2 years, while we were working during the pandemic, we saw that in our network, we have built indeed a truly sustainable partnership internationally, both between our 7 countries, as well as with our partners around the globe, starting from America right to this side, because we have nice partners from South America as well. We have our sister networks, which are the NACI and SENESA, and we listen to each other and we try to have impact on the society. And with the help of citizenship education and other educational tools, we have reached really great results. One of them can be highlighted, like the COVID-19 situation in schools, when most of the people, especially children, who should have these basic human rights of getting education, were affected very much alongside with the teachers. Everybody knows that in post-Soviet Union countries, it is very difficult to turn to the digital education, and there were some changes in the behavior of people. There was lots of stress around, but the signals that we got from governments, the signals that we've got from the non-formal education sector were something really meaningful in shaping this change, because this change were very hard to go through. In some countries, for example, in Georgia, we had great example of how the government quickly reacted on the situation of COVID-19, and how the rural village schools were equipped with special digital equipment so that kids can continue the education while online and remotely. And it was a huge example for other countries. In different countries of our network, there were different type of actions. There were some governmental helps, there was no governmental help, there were some non-formal education field initiatives, which created indeed conditions for people to live in non-stressful world, let's call it peaceful world, and also to continue the education successfully. With this, I would like also to highlight a couple of activities that we do. Today we have, by the way, the last day of Russia for our week of citizenship education. This is an annual event, and you can, alongside with our today's meeting, review the workshops that we did for each country, because we announced 7 days for 7 countries credo for the week of citizenship education this time. And we did have really great opening sessions, really great offline and online events. So feel free to go to our website and check this. We had lots of master classes during the pandemic. We had our summit in 2019 with field experts. We have engaged lots of new members, which is really great achievement. And to be honest with you, we saw lots of activities during pandemic specifically, which brought interest to our network, because we were thinking that offline work is something that we can do only, but we had the different overview later on, and we achieved lots of results, especially during the pandemic within our network. What I would like also to highlight is here on how to educate yourself and your community on conflict resolution skills. I saw a question, I think in the Zoom, someone was asking how to make sure that we change the military education with peaceful education, if I remember correctly, actually the question, but I would like to address that with simple words, which is peace building. It is the culture of peace that we should educate in everyone. And these people who are with the skills of bringing peace, culture of peace into their houses, into their school, into their societies, even into their individual surrounding, these are people who will change that. It is a quite difficult question to answer, I understand, because there are already some things going on into countries and etc. And I still think that if each one of us works hard, they can become an influencer and change maker. So we should work as a representative, so educational people. We should work closely with the government. We should work closely with the non-formal education actors, advocates, whoever is in that field, to make sure that our governments, that our surroundings is focusing on out-of-box solutions to make sure that we have sustainable, peaceful surrounding. We are educating future citizens to develop the right attitude towards life. So this is what I believe that we should keen to on. I would like to, and I don't want to take more time here because I see that we are out of time almost, for us to have also some room for Q&A. So I apologize if this was too short, but I believe that there is peace even in the storm. And one of the quotes that I like very much is about individually we are one drop, but together we are an ocean. So let's work on the direction to achieve understanding, to achieve peace, to achieve justice, and to make sure that via the education we build peaceful society, we build successful people and kids and surrounding, and also we bring the real concept of peace into the life. So thank you so much, and I think that's all from my side. Let me unshare my screen and give the floor to Anush.
Thank you, dear Anush. We have thank yous from Yuri Shelazienko, actually, who asked the question, and thank you for addressing his question. By the way, you had seen it in the chat box. It was about replacing militarist patriotic education with peace education for democratic citizenship and nonviolence, and I guess you answered it in your presentation. Thank you, dear Yuri, for the question. Thank you, Datev, for your response. Datev, I would also like to thank you for once again highlighting the activities of the EENCE during the pandemic. Once again, showing that the pandemic can be not only a challenge, but also an opportunity for global partnership and for the enhancement of global partnership. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm very well aware of the fact that we are running over time, but I think that we can have a very brief question and answer session. And actually, we can tackle the question asked by Stefan at the beginning of our session. I will read out Stefan's question once again, and I think it will be great to listen to your ideas on this. How to imagine transnational cross-sectoral learning process? That was Stefan's question, and let's see what you think, dear speakers, on this. I can read it again. How to imagine transnational cross-sectoral learning process. Do you have any interesting ideas?
I think it's again about networking, to be honest with you, because whatever we have experienced so far, like let's say everyone takes it as their own subjective example, right? And if we have seen some successful examples, this is what we're keen to continue, and we are really good on doing that. And I think in both in my case and in Aliona's case, we see that networking has helped a lot. At least our country, let's say, collaborations, everything that we have done in non-formal field, how we have done the networking with the government. So this is quite a broad, let's say, topic, but for me, it is again about the networking, how we enable our contacts, our surroundings to live together, how to affect each other, how to get out of certain circumstances, and to find ways how to build sustainable society and how to build sustainable educational society and institutions. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you, dear Datev.
If may I add?
Yeah, sure, Anna.
Yeah, I agree with that we are somehow all experienced, but it's not easy. And when I'm thinking about like many of the projects that I was like taking part in, or I was somehow seeing the process of building it, I've just noted a few things. Time, because this is the big challenge in today's culture, that we want to have everything immediately, and this is not the thing that we can imagine and create together immediately. That we should be open for different culture and other kind of differences between us, because often we have players that they just want to introduce their own vision, and then the equality of partnership is not balanced, and the negotiations, of course. So I will follow the Tatevik's presentation that we need to know how to talk and how to collaborate without violence, without any kind of violence, you know, in language, in a way we want to collaborate and build partnership, etc. So this is going to be like my fast answer on that.
Yes, Anna, definitely. Thank you for your reflection. Thank you very much.
Just one quote, because Anna sent me some thoughts, let's say, about this. I think we need a global mind and behavior to shift from the way we currently think and interact in order to achieve more results. And indeed, it takes so much time. These 5 years of existence of EENCE is a proof of that, because I think it is a whole life for me. So how much we have done, how much we have achieved, and how much energy we have put into that. And I think every one of you are great experts of the field, and you also understand how much life it takes for each of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Alena, do you have any comments here?
Yeah, it was just, I was thinking about probably like pretty much the same what Anna has said about time and diversity. What I was thinking about, like time as the most privilege, what we need in learning processes. What I face in my work, sometimes we have projects where we just need more time, and our partners are urging us for methods. They're telling, let's think about some new sophisticated method of learning. Our methods are not innovative enough. We have to do it digital, multi-digital, and somehow like that. But sometimes it just needs time. Like education is often about pretty simple, in a way of mechanics, methods, which need time and reflection, and especially when it's multi-sectoral and international. And about the diversity, not to forget that we all are different and we all learning differently. There are at least 4 different learning types, at least of us. And in order to ensure this learning process is going well, we have to have something for each learning type, just to give a chance to access this process, to hear what is going on.
Exactly. Thank you for this great insight, Alena. Thank you. And Stefan, would you like to comment? Would you like to reflect back on your own question?
Yeah, thank you everybody actually for taking this up and giving also your positioning there. I think like one question would be also or another question that might be also an answer, like who is teaching actually? Yeah. So what are the roles in the process, and who's not teaching? Yeah. Often is that also the more important question. And like to maybe shift a little bit this understanding of this really like precious room, which has this also of course this dimension of time that one in diversity shares. Yeah. That actually the differences between us makes it even more interesting. Yeah. And to see that and not that there's some striving for some unity or something like this, maybe on fundamental things, which of course is also really beautiful if one finds like some kind of solidarity in a group, and can identify common thoughts and directions, but at the same time also appreciating that different voices are there and different perspectives, and then it gives us a space again for reflection. Yeah, of course, it's hard to do. I don't know, like in Germany, there's this huge discussion about this horrible party of the alternative for Germany. Should we speak with those people or not, and so on. So, and also like there's Trump supporters in the US, and did you see this kind of division in the society? And in Poland, of course, it's quite similar about this. Okay, what is the political field we can, where's the point where we can actually meet? Yeah. Bringing it a little bit also to the question of civic education in a broader sense. I would not say that this is always needed to include all speakers, because then it's a question again of the power, the reproduction of power imbalances which are there. Yeah, so some groups are like using then their strength in being represented in certain contexts, and so there are limitations to this kind of difference and listening to different voices as well. But in the end, one can say the difference always gives us actually provokes us maybe in a good sense to reflect upon our own positioning.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Thank you, Stefan, for your input, and also thank you for the question, which was a good food for thought for all of us, actually. Thank you once again. And before we wrap up the session, I see a very brief, I see a question from Insaf from Tunisia. I'd like to read it out and would expect your brief response to that. I ask all of you to share tools and experiences for peace and civic education to reproduce in classes and clubs. That having said that, she will send some resources via email. Yeah, if you have anything else to add, or you think that you have some materials that you can share with.
Yeah, I will just share that there are really great courses and practical examples of how you teach trainers or teachers, let's say, teach the teachers, because those are the people who are influencing the younger generation, and they bring the peaceful mindset and cultural and moral behavior to the room. And of course, it is on individual level as well. So not depending on race, religious, nation, etc. This is something that is already in people. So let me just read one sentence that I forgot to mention. I had just heard this from, again, these international journals, is that education helps us to realize our ultimate goal in life. It is to live peacefully and harmoniously is something already in ourselves as human beings. So let's start from us, and then go through the generation and educating both teachers and actors and advocates in the society. So I will send to you a couple of resources. We have your mail.
Thank you. Yes, we have got your mail, Insaf, and we also got Yuri's email here. He is asking to copy, to send CC,
sure thing.
CC him. Yeah, thank you very much. I think we can wrap up our today's session. I want to say that I'm really very grateful for having had the opportunity to moderate this session, which was jointly organized by the EENCE and Goethe Institute Ukraine. We once again came to understand that strong global partnership and cooperation can lead to peaceful and sustainable societies. And what is more, the importance of citizenship education, the importance of trust, and the importance of multi-stakeholder partnerships has been highlighted clearly and demonstrated in all of the presentations that we heard today. Now that we have come to the end of this event, I would like to express my warmest thanks to the organizers, the EENCE and the Goethe Institute. I would also like to say special thanks to you, dear speakers, because I know it's Saturday, but you were willing to share your expertise, your valuable knowledge, skills with us, and your valuable contributions. Of course, without your input, this event would not have been possible. So thank you once again. And of course, thank you our followers from different parts of the world. For some of you, it's the morning. For some of you, I guess, afternoon or evening. And I hope that you will enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I'm sure that you got not only valuable insights and ideas that can be a great food for thought, but also inspiration and motivation from our speakers because they shared inspirational projects and recommendations. Thank you very much and hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much for the great moderation, Anush. You were awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
I think we can stop the
Ik
broadcast.
moet dat
Yes.
schrammet klaar.
Thank you
It
so
was
much.
very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, Isa.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you for your
Okay.
participation.
Yeah, thank you for the participation. Bye.
Have a nice weekend. Bye.
Bye.
Hmm.
Let us talk. Let me stop.